Hi everyone, it's Marguerite with Wreath by Marguerite again here today for a tutorial. This is a kit that I am offering in my shop, and this is the tutorial for how to make it. Today we're making a storm door wreath. What's a storm door wreath? A storm door wreath is a wreath that is under 4 inches in depth, but looking at it straight on, it looks nice and fluffy. But see how thin that is? Isn't that great? It's great anywhere, not just behind a screen or a storm door. You have 4 inches of space there to place a wreath, and this allows you to do so without crushing the wreath. So follow along today with me while I make this wreath to show you how to use your kit. Here we go. Okay, so let's start with what comes in your kit, and then we'll go over to what tools that you'll need to do this project. You will receive a sign. Looks like this, and it will have the pipe cleaners already attached to the back. I just used 1/4 inch staples and cut 2 pipe cleaners in half. That makes the 4 corners. You don't want to use a staple more than 1/4 inch if you're doing this on your own, or it will go through the sign. Then you're going to receive, you need 12 pieces of deco mesh, but you will have at least 13 in your kit. This is 10-inch mesh. Deco mesh. It's all plastic and it's got tinsel in it to make it sparkly. So it's 10 inch this way, and they're all cut in 20-inch increments. That's the length that you need for this project. Then you'll have a wreath frame that has 4 rings on it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 crossbars. You need that for proper location of all your products that are going on it to give it the right kind of dimension and interest, and also to help keep it as flat as possible since this is a storm door wreath. So you're going to have 6 pipe cleaners wrapped around the outer 2 rings, rings 1 and 2, at the crossbar. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the other 6 are going to be on rings 3 and 4, centered between the crossbars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And then when you get your kits, they won't be cut to this detail, but for the sake of time on the video, I've pre-cut everything. If you'd like to see the details step by step by step, all the way down to the very basic steps, you can watch one of the other videos that I have here on the channel. In this kit, you're going to receive a 2.5 inch blue star with a red and white stripe, a 1.5 inch solid red, and a 1.5 inch of the same design as the 2.5 inch, which is the blue stars and the red stripes. Okay, so that is made into 12 bundles with the finished side of the ribbon facing the inside of the bundle. I can talk. You're also going to receive a business card as well as written instructions for what I'm teaching here today in the tutorial. It's a great place to take any notes, so that if you do this on your own, above and beyond the kit you receive, it gives all the details for putting everything together. Where in the kit, the pipe cleaners are already attached to the sign, the pipe cleaners are already attached to the wreath frame, and all of your mesh is cut at the right length, as well as the ribbon tails being folded in 12 inches in length, because that is the length you want this ribbon to be. 12 inches this way. Okay. Tools, you need some scissors, you need a ruler, and a chip clip are all for sure things that you need. You'll understand what the chip clip is for in just a few moments when we start working with the mesh. I buy these plastic needles to feed the pipe cleaners on the sign through the mesh without having to fuss with it so much. And this is just a dowel. You can use a dowel, a pen, or a pencil to use to wrap the pipe cleaners at the top around to make them cute. I'll give you a couple different options there. And it's always important to have some cutters, wire cutters, for cutting the pipe cleaners and anything else you might need along the way. So I'm going to move the ribbon aside, this, and the sign, because we won't be using that for a while. And we don't need this or these right now. So right now, here are your main 3 tools. Like I said, I've already pre-cut the ribbon, so really we don't even need this at this point. So we'll get back to that in just a few minutes. So right now we are going to attach the first layer of mesh to the frame. The procedure for that is to do your mesh on the first level, which is the outer 2 rings. Those 6 pieces, and then put your ribbon on top of that. Then go back and put your second layer of mesh on. And then, depending on your personal preference, the sign first and then the rest of the ribbon, or the rest of the ribbon and then the sign. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to that point. So since we're not using the inner ring pipe cleaners at this moment, I push them to the center. And then the outer ring, I take the pipe cleaners and spread them horizontal to me with the pipe cleaner directly in front of me. Sometimes they cooperate, sometimes they don't. So we'll move these out like that. This is just preparation for when you're ready to put the mesh in the wreath, so that you're not trying to manage multiple things at the same time. Not that we can't. Okay. Now when we're going to put the mesh into the frame, we always want to make sure that the pipe cleaner we're working with is directly in front of us. I'm left-handed, and I don't know if this is why, but I like to work on it from an angle. But I strongly suggest, if this is your first time making one of these, you have it directly in front of you. That way you make sure you put your mesh in correctly. Till you get more comfortable with the process, then you can do whatever you want. It's just my recommendation, but that's why. Okay, so we're going to take our first piece of mesh, lay it curl side down on the table, and we're going to take our ruler and measure it to find the center, and then use the chip clip on this end to mark that space. This is just a touch over 10 inches, so it's going to go right here at the 5-inch mark. This doesn't have a pattern per se in it, so it's important to have that there to help, one, hold it down flat, because as we get further into the roll of mesh, the tighter the curl, the more it's going to curl up on you like that. So I put the clip there so that when I go down here and measure here at 5 inches, I'm going to start gathering here, and that's my visual cue to make sure I'm staying in the center of the mesh, because we're going to gather it into our thumbs using all of our fingers to just crawl up it, and either crawl towards the clip or start pulling it down into our thumbs. Either way, whichever way you're more comfortable with. I mix it up. I don't always do it the same. I like to do different things all the time. So now you're loosely holding it into your index finger and your thumb so that you can make any adjustments to the mesh that are needed, because you want to try to get as close to round on both sides. Does that make sense? So they want to match up so that when you put them in the wreath, they stay as round as possible. So we're bringing the base back to us. Like I said, I'm going to put it just a touch to the side, not my usual hard angle, and bring this in. And we're going to hold it there with one hand while we take the other hand and bring up the pipe cleaners. So my first one on a video in a couple weeks, so I might be a little rusty, but it comes right back. And then when I tighten that pipe cleaner, I did it nice and low 2 to 3 times, because we're wanting to keep the depth of this wreath as thin as possible so it'll stay under the 4 inches. Okay, so now that everything's in place, I always put the pipe cleaners up. We want to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, and that is not even remotely round. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to grab the mesh, but never at the end. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to hold the pipe cleaners with one hand, and I'm going to grab up here so we don't change the design that's in the mesh. If it's really bad, take it back out and re-ruffle it like we just did. But the less you handle this, the better. The goal here is to have a nice round circle, and most importantly, the outside edge be nice and curved, because that's what's going to be seen. The inside will be covered by all the other mechanics and the other layer. Okay? Still doesn't look good, so I'm going to re-ruffle it. Okay? See? I've made thousands of these and I'm still doing this. Let me try again here. But see how the center of it gets a little bit changed for messing with it, the design. That's why it's so important not to to pull on the edge, because that's the part everyone's gonna see. See, I'm gonna go this way. Apparently I'm going this way today. And as you can see, it's still frays no matter what, but hey, again, it comes down to the less we handle it, the better, okay? Tight and low, 1, 2 times, 2 to 3 times to make sure it's in there securely. That also keeps it tight and low, and it also keeps it from moving when you put your elbow into it. I gotta trim that right there because that one is just giving me fits, okay? Also on the tool list that I forgot, make sure you have a trash can. So outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Need a trash can. Remember always, the outside edge is what is most crucial. And then I usually curl it, let me pull it out a little bit more. Curl it under like that. I'm not so worried about the inside as I am about here, okay? That one just really, it's giving me fits. That's better. That looks like a circle, right? Now when I put the mesh in, I don't do one to the next, to the next, to the next. I do it every other because that helps it lay flat and gives it a pattern that helps to give it more dimension, if that makes sense. So now I'm gonna get the next piece. See how curly that is? That's why I like to have the clip on the other side too. So we're going to measure. 5 inches is the center on this. Flip it around, so that's our point of reference when we're ruffling. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this end, so I can start ruffling at 5 inches. And just gather it into thumb, creeping up slowly. Excuse me. All the way to the chip clip, and then pull it out and hold it in your thumb and forefinger. Get that nice and circular if you can. Skip this one, go to the next one, and put this in vertically to the horizontal pipe cleaner, okay? Now you can make the choice to sit to assemble this or stand. I did a little bit of both. On this portion of the wreath, I sit. So we're taking the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Now see, that came through a lot easier, but see that right there? I don't like that. So I'm gonna put the pipe cleaners up, and I'm gonna pull from the base of the pipe cleaners a little bit more so I can cover that up. So there's that. The whole idea of taking the outside cut edges over the inside cut edges is to cover all your cut edges, and that will give you less likelihood of fray. Okay, so again, skip. We'll go in here for the next one. Curl side down. Ruler out, measure out 5 inches to put your clip there. Flip it around. Do the same thing on this end and then start gathering. So 5 is right here. And if you have a cutting board like I do, you can also use that to help you keep a line through the center. You just gather this up, right down the center, heading towards that clip at the top. Mesh is fussy. Also, I haven't said it yet, I would recommend wearing short sleeves because deco mesh is like Velcro. It sticks to everything. Okay, so now we're going to come back here to this clip, this pipe cleaner, and put our mesh in vertical to the horizontal pipe cleaners. Twist it tight and low till you get 2 twists to 3. See, that was trying to hit you right already. So now we're going to take that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. So we're over here, we're short here. So no problem. I'm just going to grab it up by the pipe cleaner, holding the pipe cleaner so I don't change the design of the mesh. And then I'm going to grab this from behind and that will adjust the piece on the top. Then we're going to curl under the edges as much as it'll let you. It's going to fight you, that it just is what it is. Keeping in mind we want a nice circular shape right here. And now we go back and do the other 3 in between. Like I said, this is just my suggestion as far as putting the mesh on. I just like how it looks that way, and I feel like it lays better. And then as you get more layers of mesh in there, it sticks to itself, since like I said, it's like Velcro and it ain't moving. Okay, so 5 inches, we're gonna put a clip on it. Remember that curl side down. Turn it around. I would recommend a minimum of 3 feet of working space. 4 is much better if you have the room or more. Sometimes it's never enough. 5 inches, we're gonna start gathering that in our thumbs, using the rest of our fingers to gather, staying in the center as best we can, heading for that clip at the top, and then putting it into our thumb and forefinger loosely so we can make any adjustments we need. You'll find in the kits or any projects you do where the mesh has a pattern to it, that really helps you keep centered. It really does. Okay, see, that looks pretty good. We'll see how it looks in a second, right? All right, do this. Tight and low. Don't be afraid to pull it really tight. These things are strong enough to take it. So now I'm going to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. And there's a couple of strings hanging out. So I'm going to cut them now so I don't have to do that at the end. The more you can do as you go, the better. Then you don't have to try to find them, because you don't want frays all over your wreath, right? Okay. All right, this is not quite as round as I'd like it to be, so I'm gonna pull it up here a little bit, and there's that. Almost looks square, doesn't it? It's okay, we got a round edge out here. Then we're gonna go over here, do the next one, and then we just have one more on this layer. Curl side down, get that ruler out. Put your clip at 5 inches. Twist it around. Measure it one more time so you know where to gather. So 5 inches is your center. Gather into your thumb and forefinger. On the second layer, I'm going to do a couple of things differently so you can see another way to do this. Like I said, these are just guidelines. They're not permanent, perfect, required ways to do it. There's basic rules that you have to follow, and then after that, you know, you can do whatever you want. It's your project, right? Okay, so we want to make sure that's rounded pretty good. So I'm making my adjustments now so I don't have to do it once it's in the pipe cleaner. All right, let's get it in there. So the pipe cleaners are horizontal and the mesh goes in vertically, okay? Twist this nice and tight and low. Turn it 2 to 3 times. Then I got a fray right there. Get back up there. So I'm going to take that outside cut edge over that inside cut edge. And then you're going to take that outside cut edge over that inside cut edge and curl it under. This has a point that sticks way out here, so we want to grab it where it's caved in on that side, but hold on to the pipe cleaners and not grab at the edge. Okay, and that needs to come out a little there. How's that look? Are my edges lined up? I think just a little bit more adjustment. Okay, and then curl that under again. It's got a mind of its own, that's for sure. Come on, this one's still pointy, so let's try this again. I think that probably took care of it, right? Curl it under. See, it likes to pop back out. All right, this is the last one for this layer, and then we're gonna move on to ribbon. So, Again, 20-inch pieces, 10 1/4 inch long this way. So the rule's coming labeled at 10 inches, 12 inches, 11 inches. This is the 10. This is the most standard width. 20-inch pieces, curl side down. Take that ruler and measure your halfway point, which is just over 5 inches. Flip the mesh around. And then do that one more time so you know where to start gathering at 5 inches, just over 5 inches, gathering into your thumbs, using all your fingers to crawl up the mesh, keeping your gather small as you can, using that clip at the top to help you keep on centered since this is solid colored mesh. All right, I can see that point already, so I'm already gonna fix that. And make sure all my edges are lined up. Then come over here to the pipe cleaners, which are horizontal, and put my mesh in vertically. Hold it in place while I bring up those pipe cleaners tight and low 2 or 3 times. 1, 2.5. Okay, so now I'm going to take my outside cut edge over my inside cut edge, this outside edge over this cut edge, and make sure you have it circular. This doesn't match up, so I need to make an adjustment in the width here. I put that pipe cleaner on tight. I could loosen it up. That would make sense. There we go. But I didn't need to. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so now we have finished the first layer of mesh. It's time to put on our ribbon tails. So you're going to need 6 sets. 6. Be sure to check out some of the other videos where I talk about the details of how to cut this and any troubleshooting ideas. There's like 3 different things that could go wrong. 2 of them you can fix. So I show you what can go wrong in your cutting as well as what you do to fix it. Okay, so now we have the 3 pieces of ribbon, the star and stripe, then the red solid in the center, and then the matching 2.5 inch. It matches the 1.5 inch mesh on the bottom. And how I choose colors when I make a wreath is I look at my sign. These colors are all in the sign, so it's a perfect match. You can use all solid color ribbon, you can use all print ribbon, you can do a mix of solid and print like I did today. You can do 2 to 3 pieces, 2 to 3 designs of 2.5 inch ribbon, or you can do 3 of the 1.5, or any combination thereof from 2 to 4 pieces. If you're only using 2 pieces of ribbon, make sure they're both 2.5 inches or you won't get as much coverage. Unless, of course, you like to see a lot of the mesh. The mesh is your solid foundation, but some of it is so pretty I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to be able to see more of it. Okay, so let me put it back together. When we made the bundles, we put really tight creases in the center when we folded them in half so that we would know where to gather the ribbon. And we're gathering it up just like we did the mesh, but and into the index finger and the thumb. And then we're going to turn the ribbon at an upside down V. And the reason we do that before we put it in the wreath is that helps the ribbon to stay where it's supposed to be, facing the outside edge. Because if you don't do that, it's going to hide up there and no one will see it. And then what's the purpose, right? So then we take the pipe cleaners vertically for the ribbon, and we put the ribbon in horizontally. So mesh one way, ribbon the other. Now we're going to do tight a couple times, and then we're going to twist it in an upwards fashion until we make a minimum of 1 inch of twisted pipe cleaner like this. Let me bring the camera in tighter so you can see that. See that? So there's 1 inch, at least 1 inch. Yeah, that's at least 1 inch. And then what's not twisted, cut it off at this point. That way you don't forget about it. I cut it off there and put that in my trash. Okay? So then, another piece of frame. See how it's already starting to turn up into the wreath? Okay, now let me bring it back out so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So we're going to push that little stump, that little twist down into the mesh. Okay, and then we're going to position the ribbon where we want it to be. So I lift the top two up and place the bottom one in position first, and then the other two that way. There's a little bit of a gather up here that creates kind of like a bubble, so I try to pop those out at this point. Don't worry, you're going to handle the ribbon one more time at the end once you put it in place. So if it crawls back under the mesh on the next layer, it's not a big deal. It's something you can fix at the end. Just always know, just like with deco mesh, don't grab your ribbon from the cut edge. If you're relocating it or repositioning it, grab further up than that. So on this side I did 2.5 inch, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch. So that means on this side I am going to bring out the 2.5 inch and do it completely opposite. The red is going to stay in the center. So this is called, I think it's called mirrored image, right? Yeah. So I've now positioned all my ribbon where I want it to be, and I'm going to do just like what I did in the mesh. I'm going to skip one, and I'm going to go here, making sure my pipe cleaners are vertical, and I'm going to come in with my ribbon horizontally. Unfold my bundle, gather it up the center, holding it in my index and thumb, make an inverted V, place it in the pipe cleaner and make the pipe cleaner twist high and low about 2 times. Ow, not poke yourself. And then wrap it up to create a 1 inch minimum twist and cut the excess off. And place that down into the mesh and then position your ribbon. So 2.5 inch, solid white 1.5, and then my 1.5 inch star. And then on this side is going to be the reverse order. 2.5 inch facing the outside first, then the red, and then the 1.5 inch. The red never changes its location. It's in the center. Pipe cleaner up and down, so vertically to you, so that we can put the ribbon in horizontally. So gather it up the center where the crease is, hold it with your index finger and thumb, and then bring the tails down into an inverted V, place it into the pipe cleaner, tighten low. 1, 2. Then up into a twist for an inch stump of twist. Cut the excess off. Now you can wait and do all of the twists after you've gotten all the ribbon in. I like to do it as I go, as much as possible, so that I don't forget and come back. Get those in position. Get in there. Thank you. You can also curl it a little bit more so you know that for sure it's stuck down in there, but this is the bottom layer, so this isn't going to be seen by anyone except for you. Okay? And we'll fuss again at a later time. All right, the first 3 are in, so I'm going to go back and do the other 3 in between. Put that, try to clean as you go so you don't have a big mess in the end. Gather it at the crease. Make the inverted V. Tighten low 2 times, and then make a 1 inch twist going upwards. Cut the excess off. Tuck that in to the mesh, and now position your ribbon. So I lift those top 2 out of the way so I can tug on them. And don't be afraid of the ribbon. This is good quality ribbon, so you can put some elbow into moving it around. It won't hurt it. There are some ribbons that are fused that you have to be a little more careful with, but not in this kit. There we go. And it's sticking to the mesh, see? Okay. All right, 1 more bundle after this. So gather at the crease, index finger and thumb, make the inverted V, place it into your vertical pipe cleaner, putting your ribbon bundles horizontally, and see how having it in front of you makes it easier, because if you don't, you might end up putting it in like this. That's not going to work. So you want to bring it back down here. So it helps to, that's why, one of the reasons why it's so important to have what you're working on directly in front of you. Oop, I wasn't done here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, push that in there. I'm seriously a bad multitasker. I always end up with a great item in the process, but I like to do too many things at once too. I've been accused of that many times. I can't deny it. Okay, push that down. I just push it down a little bit so that the pipe cleaner stays low. Doesn't hurt anything. So this is the last bundle on this layer. And then we're going to go back to putting the last 6 pieces of mesh in. So gathering it at the crease, at the fold in the center that we made when we made the bundles. Then with the index finger and thumb, we held it so that we can turn the ribbon into an inverted V or upside down V, however you want to phrase it. Put it in the pipe cleaner, which was vertical. Put the ribbon in horizontally, and then tight and low twist it a couple times, and then twist in an upward fashion to create a minimum of a 1-inch twist. Cut your excess pipe cleaner off. Tuck this into the mesh. Pop any bubbles out of the ribbon and position the ribbon in the order which you want it to be displayed on your wreath. So I did 2.5 inch red and 1.5 inch. On this side I'm going to do 2.5 inch out here and red in the center, and then the 1.5 inch. You ever get a moment where you just blank out? That was what just happened. Is it senility? I don't know. I'm a woman of a certain age, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now we're going to bring the pipe cleaners up between the other pieces of mesh. For the next layer of mesh, you have 6 sets. We got a fray there. Some frays more than others. It's just how it is. That's 2. Here's the third one. I bring it up in between. 4. 5. 6. So now we go back to having the pipe cleaners horizontal. So mesh, the pipe cleaners are horizontal. With the ribbon, the pipe cleaners are vertical. Okay, so I'm gonna get these all ready for myself. Helps expedite. If you're not in a hurry, you can do them as you go, but I always recommend you do the one that you're working on before you start gathering the mesh, because you only have so many hands, and you'll see when you're doing this, if you can't tell from watching me, it can be complicated. Okay, so on this layer, it's still the same thing. It's still going to be curl side down, but this time I'm not going to use the ruler. So if you don't have a ruler, this technique works all the time. I'm just going to fold the mesh in half, and that's going to give me the center. Isn't that a good idea? One day I just decided, you know what? I couldn't find my clip, so I just didn't want to use the cutting mat because I thought it was more complicated. So I just fold it in half here, and there's the center. So I've got that chip up there with the mesh turned around. A chip clip, not chip. And just start gathering it into your thumbs, using all your fingers to crawl up the center. I'll bring it down to you. Hold it in your thumb and forefinger loosely so you can position your mesh to make sure it's a nice circle. That's still a little off there. Go there. There we go. Now we're going to come over, place it in the horizontal pipe cleaner, tight and low, 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, okay. Get it up in the air so it's out of the way. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Now you have a bottom layer to get in the way now. So see, it's actually Velcro. It's like, no, you can't have that mesh. I want it. All right, turn the outside edges. Get that nice circle. See how this is starting to try to crawl under here? In the end, when we're fluffing the whole wreath, we'll just lift up the mesh and bring it back out here, but there's no point at this time. Do it at the end. Some things, yes, you should do as you go. Some things you should do it all at once. So we're gonna skip one again and go over here. Not using the ruler, we're taking it curl side down. See how it gets really curly? Gets worse as you get a piece of mesh from further inside of the, see? I'm gonna sit that there till I can measure it out, find my center, turn it around, measure in half again, so I find my center, gathering into my thumb and forefinger. Sometimes when I get to about here, I'll just start gathering with one hand using a couple fingers, especially when it gets really curly, the mesh. That helps me to stay focused and ooh, that came out nice. I like it. All right. Get that in there. Tight and low 2 to 3 times. Just holds it in place. Then we take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, okay? So we have that, curl the outside edge under as much as it'll let you. Make sure you have a nice circle out here. The inside is not going to be seen, so skip that one and we're going to this. And then I'll complete the first 3 on this layer. So this time, curl side down. I'm gonna use that as my weight. Find my center, which was right there. Turn it around. Do the same thing on this end. Fold it in half to find my center. Start gathering. And then I start doing the one-handed thing. It works really well for me. Find what is most comfortable for you because that's what's important, okay? Now we're gonna come back over. I did that one to this one. Horizontal and vertical for the mesh. Oof. Your arm, if you do about 8 or 10 of these a day, you get quite the workout on your arms. Take that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. This needs to come out just a touch. Let go. See, it sticks to everything. Everything, I tell you. Okay. See that? No, that's still a little pointy, so let's go up here. Make the adjustments as necessary, never grabbing from the outside edge. Cutting the fray off. There we go. This one there too. Strings sticking out everywhere. Just kidding. Skip that one. So we now have the first 3, so now we can go back and do the final 3. And I'm going to put the sign first before I do the rest of the ribbon. Curl side down. Use this as a weight. Fold it in half. Clip it at the half. So hopefully I've given you a couple ideas of different ways to approach this. Okay, there's probably more. Those are the ones I'm most familiar with. This is what I do most of the time, exactly the way I'm gathering it. Okay, we're gonna take that vertically into this pipe cleaner, which is laying horizontally. Get that pipe cleaner up there. Tighten low a couple times. You don't want to do it too many because then it makes the wreath taller. And the whole idea, like I've said multiple times, you want to keep it under 4 inches because that's the space allowed behind a storm or a screen door to put a wreath up against your regular door. Standing, you get a really good view of your product. I have the benefit of the camera, so that's nice and curly. There we go. 2 to go. And you see the curl gets smaller as you go into the roll. That's why it gets so much curlier. And you can fight that all day, or you can put something over there so that it's not coming back at you before you want it to. This is fun. We don't want to make things frustrating, so that's why I'm sharing my techniques along with the basics. You'll find what you're most comfortable with. That's what's important. All right, these are good. This one's it. That goes there. Okay. Remember holding it loosely in your thumb and forefinger so you can make those adjustments as necessary before you put it into the pipe cleaner. Tight and low, 1 to 2 times, 1 to 3 times, 2 to 3 times. Oh, sorry guys. Outside cut edge over outside cut edge. Now from this perspective, it looks pretty darn fluffy, doesn't it? Once I get the last one in, I'll turn it sideways. Goodness, it's sticking a lot. Hey, okay, get on there. Get these edges turned under so they'll stop biting me. Okay, last but not least, the final piece of mesh. You might have an extra piece. I'll try to think of ideas of what to use the extra piece if you don't end up using it. I mean, you certainly could put it on the wreaths, and I don't know how that would balance out. Or you can take it and use some ribbon and use it as a backer to make one of those ruffles and make a fancier than usual bow. I do have some bow tutorials on my page that you can watch if you don't know how to do bows. There's some basic simple bows, and I use multiple different bow makers because there's so many out there. My favorite is the Easy Bow Maker. They're great for those of us, like in my case I have very small thumbs, it's hard to hold a bow. It's that extra hand that you need. It's great for people with carpal tunnel and arthritis and MS and all the different challenges we deal with. Tighten low 1, 2, or 3 times. Take that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Get this all positioned right, and I'll show you how thin it really is. Oof. Okay, how's that look? This one is okay. So see, that looks pretty fluffy, right? Look how skinny that is. Isn't that great? Okay, so I'm going to stand at this point because I feel the necessity when I try to place the sign because I want it to be centered, okay? So I usually turn it so that I have one pipe cleaner at the 6 o'clock on a clock position and one at the 12 o'clock position. Then I move my pipe cleaners out of the way. That helps me to keep the sign centered. And I'm going to place it between these 4 and then figure where my center is. So that's going to be the C in welcome, in my opinion. We want the C to match up with the 12 and the 6. And that works out pretty well. That way I can put the pipe cleaners through the mesh at the right place. I'm going to move this ribbon out of the way so I don't try to put a pipe cleaner through it. All right. that one out of the way, that one out of the way. We want it towards the outside anyway. So all of these are going to be in the way of where the pipe cleaners from the sign go in. And that's because this sign is a little wider than the average. What is it, 15? You measure it again. 12. Yeah, this is a 15 inch. A lot of the signs in my kits are 12 inches, so I don't have to worry about the ribbon getting in the way as much. Now this is where this plastic needle comes in super handy. You can try to feed the pipe cleaner through the mesh. It works. It's just sometimes it cooperates with you and sometimes it doesn't. This alleviates that frustration. Sorry about the glare. So I'm going to put this right by the pipe cleaner in this twist tie. And I'm going to feed the correct pipe cleaner through this and just fold it a little bit on the top. Hold that needle through, and I'm just going to pull it through till I get it through. Take that needle off. And I think I twisted this a little one. Yeah, I did twist the pipe cleaner a little. So that's going to go in there. Let me take that back out. That's not where I wanted it. With a 12-inch sign, the pipe cleaners for the sign match up evenly with these ties, but this is a wider one, so let's try that again. And this way I didn't do any damage to the wreath or mesh. Put that just under the sign. Or if I tried to do it by hand, I might have damaged the mesh. Ugh. Okay, there it is. Sound effects help, right? When we put the signs on, we usually go in an X pattern from one corner to another so that our sign sits even in the wreath and not all cockeyed. Okay, so that's there. I did that one, so that means I'm going to do this one. Right, making sure that ribbon underneath is out of my way. I'm going to put it through the mesh all the way to the back, that needle. Bring that through, and then I'm going to go back and tighten up those two first before I go do the other two. Still looks centered. Let's turn it over, holding the sign with our hand. I'm going to wrap this around the frame until it's completely gone, meaning the pipe cleaner. I'm going to get all the way to the end of the pipe cleaner. I'm going to make sure that the tip of the pipe cleaner is facing down into the wreath, and the reason we do that is to make sure that nothing sharp touches the door to cause scratches. That would make me sad if I made something that someone purchased and it scratched their door. And we do the whole thing and try to make sure the pipe cleaners are the same color as the mesh as much as possible, because we do have customers, myself included, let me turn this back over, that have glass inserts in their door. So you want to make sure that the mechanics on the back look good, okay? Because it's going to be seen on the back side of the door. So if you can blend in the pipe cleaners with the mesh, all the better. Get that one through. All right, now we're going to go back to that corner and put that one through. Remember, we're putting this needle and the pipe cleaner slightly under the sign so it's not visible. Granted, the ribbon would hide it more than likely, but we don't want to. We want a nice finished product, okay? So I'm going to hold it again and turn it over. And I'm going to wrap that around one of the rings till it's completely gone. Keep it going. Making sure the point is down into the wreath when I'm done. Bring it to this one. Lift it up. Don't drag it across the table, because you don't want to scratch your sign. Wrap it around till it's gone. And I do it signed before the final bundles of ribbon because I like the ribbon on top so it will frame the sign a little bit more. Okay, so the sign is in, it's in position. We can bring all our pipe cleaners up because it's time to do the final 6 sets of ribbon tails. Okay, I'm gonna sit back down. And I'm gonna get my bundles. Okay guys, did I have a hitchhiker? No. I'm just having a fit here. Come on. All right. Okay, let's move all these tools out of the way that we're not using right now too. We're taking that next bundle. Now on the top layer, this is just me. I always do these 4 on the side first, and then I do the ones at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock last because I like the way it lays, and I like those 2 to be on top of the other bundles, okay? So I'm gonna, in this case, on the top layer, we're still gonna do the gathering like that in index finger, but we're not gonna do the inverted V. If you want, you can, but I like more of a starburst effect so that I have more coverage of the mesh. So I'm gonna put it in there. And I'm only going to do it tight and low 3 times. And then I'm going to show you the next step. So normally you would, not normally, you spread out your ribbon in the position that you want it to be in. Make sure there's bubbles around, run your fingers over it to give it a curve. There. All right. If you're not doing anything special, at this point, meaning like buttons and such, you'll see that in some of my other videos, you can wrap it all the way up and make a nice long twist like you did on the other layer, and then just tuck it under the ribbon. You would tuck it under like this after having cut off the excess and spread out the other side of the ribbon. But I'm gonna do what I call piggy tails. I don't have any Patriotic buttons to show you that idea for embellishing. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put them all in the position I want them in, the ribbon that is. Okay, give it some nice little curl. And then this is where the pencil pen or the dowel comes in. I'm going to wrap these pipe cleaners around them and make little curly cues, piggy tails, whichever you like. You can either pull them out so you can see the design, or you can tuck it in like I'm going to do today. Again, you can do this part all at once at the end if you want. I'm gonna do it as I go. Okay, there's the other one. I don't know why I thought it was a short one. Okay, so now, give it a little bit of a tug there. You can wait and do this at the end, but yeah. There's the next one. Again, we're keeping it in front of us so we're not contorting our body as much because this is supposed to be fun, right? And there will be kits for this particular wreath available in my Etsy shop. It'll be listed down in the description on this video. Now, I usually do every other, and what I mean by that is I put the 2.5 inch up there. So here, I'm going to bring it down here, so facing out to the outside edge of the wreath. You can do any pattern you want. This is just a guideline. So this is going to go out. These are going to go there. Again, you can manhandle it a little bit, for lack of a better way to put it. Sorry, men. You know it's nothing personal. Curl that pipe cleaner up. Then that one. I usually curl one way and one the other. So now I go back, skipping the 6 and the 12, and do this one. Open the bundle. Open the pipe cleaner, making sure the pipe cleaner is vertical. You're putting your ribbon in horizontal, tight and low 3 times. Okay, so this should mirror that. So I'm going to take the top two up and out of the way, and then put those down here, curling it with my hand as I go. Oop. That's also something you could do. You could do one side one way, one side the other, just like I did on the bottom. There are many possibilities. Can't do it from that side like that. Okay. That. And then we're going to do that one the other way. Okay. See what we got going on here? Put this vertical. Cut that fray. Sorry about the glare. They have the ring light, but that there. Twist. 1, 2, 3. Then this is going to mirror that one, so that means the 2.5 inch goes to the outside of the wreath. Red always in the middle, and then the 1.5 inch there. Bring that out. Okay, now we're going to curl the pipe cleaners. One to the right and one to the left. All right. Okay, so now all we have is 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Lay this out. Put that in there horizontally. Tighten low 3 times. Twist this all out for you. That was up, so now it's going to be down. The 2.5 inch is down. The 1.5 inch is up. 2.5 inch down. 1.5 inch up. We're almost there. Alright. Like I said, you can use a pen or a pencil also. Just nothing super wide. You won't have much pipe cleaner to twist around if you have a wider pen, pencil, or dowel. I just get these in the craft department at Walmart. They're super cheap. But like I said, you can avoid buying tools for a ruler as well as instead of the dowel. A few more pennies, right? Okay, we've got our last bundle. Put it back together. Gather it up the center, keeping it horizontal. Put it in the vertical. Pipe cleaner, tighten low 3 times. 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to position our last set of bundles. Pop that bubble up. So the 2.5 inch goes on the inside in this one. I'm going to do both at once. Just because. How's that? So this one goes here. This one goes here. And I'm running my fingers over the ribbon as I'm positioning it. That gives it the curl I'm giving it. Wrap that around going one way. And wrap that pipe cleaner on going the other way. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but I like uniformity. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit more and turn it around. Out of the glare. And now I'm going to just take that ribbon on the bottom layer, lifting the mesh from the top layer out and readjusting the ribbon so it's facing the outside of the wreath. The reason you're lifting the mesh again is to keep it from snagging on the ribbon, because it will. Running your fingers over the ribbon as you go to give it a slight bit of curl. That goes the opposite way. You can either do it individually or all three at once. basically, which is what I'm doing. Get up there. Once you get it in place and where you want it, it won't move. Oh, we gotta get out of the way. Do a couple more. That's an awful lot of mesh showing. I need to spread that out a little bit better. And I think that's it, right? All right. There. So there you have it. That's how we made this beautiful storm door wreath. Available as a kit in my shop, as well as this finished piece as well. All the information is in the description here on YouTube on how to get to Etsy to find the kits and the finished wreath. I would also like to thank you for spending some time with me today. It's always appreciated. I know you could be doing plenty of other things, but you chose to spend some time with me today. Down in the comments description section, it also tells where to find me elsewhere. You can, first of all, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube, so you can see all the other projects that I have posted. I do not do just storm door wreaths. There's lots of other things I do as far as wreaths, thicker wreaths, pixie wreaths. I also do tutorials for bows. So thank you again for joining. I hope you enjoyed the content. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all under the same name, Wreaths by Marguerite. Have a great evening, guys. Bye-bye.